What's up everybody, I'm Stella Chung and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. One modder has successfully implemented Spider-Man into Unreal Engine 5 and it looks amazing. Plus, we take a look at the last ever PlayStation Now games announced. In the entertainment world, Doctor Strange is already beating The Batman in box office sales, and Kevin Feige has revealed that plans for the next decade of the MCU are in development. I hope you're keeping it cool, and let's jump right into it.
Hey, remember that absolutely stunning Unreal Engine 5 Matrix Awakens demo that hit next-gen consoles last December? You know, the one with the massive, impossibly gorgeous city to run around in and not a whole lot else to do? Well, with the official release of Unreal Engine 5 on PC recently, some incredibly talented modders are going absolutely crazy with putting their own spin on the playable demo, most notably adding Spider-Man. YouTuber Mentirial uploaded a nearly 3-minute long video of his Spider-Man Unreal Engine 5 mod, and it's a phenomenal showcase of the flexibility of this engine, but also what the future of Spider-Man games might look like one day, or, you know, at least the city. The demo shows the web slinger jumping, flipping, and swinging through the city with ease, and even ceiling crawling through an underpass while cars go under, and it all looks really damn awesome considering this is not like an official video game. This is just one person working on a mod. Now, there's no combat or story missions or boss fights or anything yet, but this fully playable mod is still totally cool to look at and mess around with, assuming your computer can handle it, while we wait for Insomniac Games to deliver the next installment in its Spider-Man video game franchise, and for some fully formed, built from the ground up Unreal Engine 5 games to really start hitting the market. Isn't the future of video games amazing? Or spectacular? Or whatever your Spider-Man related adjective is that you love the most. 2099, that doesn't really work there. Speaking of games you'll be able to play in the future, not 2099, hopefully sooner, Final Fantasy XVI's producer Naoki Yoshida has said that FF16 is in its final stages of development. Yoshida confirmed the progress in a pamphlet that accompanied the franchise's official clothing line, translated by Twitter user Aitai Kimochi, saying, "We're in the final stages of development for the numbered game in the series, Final Fantasy XVI. Yoshida added that he thinks the game story, which is obviously a very different experience from Final Fantasy XIV Online, which he also produces, is a fleshed out experience that will bring older fans back." Hey, that's me. Unlike an online game that involves many players at the same time, Final Fantasy XVI offers a different experience where it focuses on the individual player and immerses you in the story, he said, per the translation. For those who have grown up and realized that reality isn't kind to you and have drifted away from Final Fantasy, we hope that FF16 will be a game that can bring back anew the passion you once had with the series. Damn, that got like really deep and like very dark. Grow up and realize that reality isn't kind to you? Good damn, man. I was not expecting all that. It's like I'm having an existential crisis just thinking about that. Anyway, Yoshida has been fairly open about the game's development timeline. He said in July last year that the story and English voiceover was almost complete, but the game was later delayed as a result of COVID-19, the ultimate delayer of pretty much every video game. He also promised that a big reveal would take place in spring this year, meaning it may not be long before fans find out when they can expect to play the game. And finally, June's Xbox Games with Gold have been officially revealed, and they're once again a totally weird and disparate collection of hidden gems and ancient titles that you probably haven't thought about since middle school. Starting with Yoku's Island Express, a pinball Metroidvania game that launched in 2018 and will be available all month starting on May 1st. I like this game, you should download it. From May 16th to June 16th, you can download The Inner World, The Last Wind Monk, a puzzle adventure game with a gorgeous and occasionally creepy hand-drawn art style. And now to the games you remember from thousands of years ago. From May 1st to May 16th, download the classic Midway Xbox 360 arcade racing game Hydro Thunder Hurricane. Remember that old gem? And from May 16th to May 31st, you can get Viva Pinata Party Animals, the kid-friendly party game about candy-filled creatures who frequently mate with each other. Once again, just a totally random collection of games for Games with Gold subscribers, but if it's a service you're already paying for, you might as well add them to your collection with the hope that you'll one day play them, right? Because that's totally gonna happen, right? You'll maybe have a 3-day weekend at some point this year, and you'll get through your entire video game backlog. Yeah. Sure. We all know that will definitely happen.
Let us bid our final goodbyes and snag the last games to join PlayStation Now, since next month it'll merge into PS Plus Extra and Premium. In the meantime, PlayStation Now subscribers can sharpen their swords, spears, and claws in Soul Calibur 6, the latest installment in the popular weapon-based fighting game series. Tackle the story mode, go online for multiplayer combat, or just spend hours making photorealistic Shrek in creation mode. If you'd prefer your fast-paced melee combat a little more cel-shaded, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 lets you unleash your ninja skills fighting against the fiercest of foes from the beloved anime. Explore the nightmarish Metroidvania of Blasphemous, a brutal action platformer hack-and-slash game with hordes of grotesque monsters and gigantic bosses waiting to kick your butt. All 3 games are available to play starting today and are permanent additions to the service. Well, permanent until next month, when PlayStation Now automatically merges with PS Plus Extra and Premium. The change will roll out gradually, starting with Asian markets on June 1st, the Americas June 13th, and finally Europe June 22nd. After that, PlayStation Now is officially PlayStation Then. Speaking of subscriptions, Xbox Game Pass games have been revealed for the month of May, including Day 1 launch games. Game Pass subscribers will get the following games when they launch. The cinematic action-adventure Kurosawa-inspired Trek to Yomi drops May 5th, followed by the third-person tactical stealth shooter Sniper Elite 5 on May 26th, and the deep space demolition sim Hard Space Shipbreaker coming May 24th. Also coming to Game Pass this month are the procedurally generated Souls-like dungeon crawler Loot River, available right now, and the TTRPG-inspired Citizen Sleeper on May 5th. On May 10th, you have your pick of the ingenious visual adventure novel Danganronpa 2, the action RPG Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, or the heartbreaking survival game This War of Mine Final Cut. NHL 22 skates into Game Pass May 12th, and the turn-based card game Floppy Knights hits May 24th. On the 27th, Pac-Man Museum Plus lets you gobble some ghosts to unlock in-game decorations for your own personal arcade. Assassin's Creed Origins and For Honor Marching Fire Edition are both coming to Game Pass at some point this month, but there is currently no date for when they will be added to the service, so just hang tight. And lastly, Italian voice actor Pietro Ubaldi, the voice behind Daruk in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, might have leaked some key info of the upcoming sequel. Fair warning, we're going into spoilers, so we're throwing up the warning sign. Zelda-focused YouTube channel Lega Hyrule shared an interview with Ubaldi, who mentions he not only voices Daruk in the sequel, but also the character's ancestor. Daruk himself doesn't live to see the end of the first Breath of the Wild, so his return and the addition of an ancestor poses some big questions. In Breath of the Wild, Link wakes up 100 years after Ganondorf unleashed the Great Calamity on Hyrule and is tasked with setting things right. Fans are already theorizing the sequel could send Link to ancient times, some 10,000 years prior to the first game. We already got one prequel with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which takes place 100 years before Breath of the Wild, with Link, Zelda, and the 4 champions battling to keep Hyrule safe from Calamity Ganon and his minions. So this theory could hold true. Trailers for the Breath of the Wild sequel shows a longer-haired, injured Link in toga-like clothing, which could be his ancient times version, or maybe it's Greek Week. Either way, Link is the hero of time, so jumping around chronologically doesn't seem too surprising. What are your theories? Sound off in the comments. If nothing else, it's something to pass the time until whenever this game is finally out, because you know we're all waiting desperately.
Xbox and Bethesda have announced that a summer showcase will air on June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK. June 12th is a Sunday and is usually when Xbox holds its E3 press conference, but of course, E3 isn't happening this year. Rest in power. The show will include upcoming games for Xbox and PC, as well as Xbox Game Pass. Currently, Xbox's most highly anticipated game with a set release date is Starfield on November 11th. We'll almost certainly see first gameplay at the showcase if it doesn't come beforehand. Arcane's Redfall, revealed at E3 last year, is also scheduled to launch sometime in 2022, so a release date for it might be revealed. Machine Games announced last year that it was working on an Indiana Jones game, so more information about that would be very cool. Machine has only made Wolfenstein and Quake games, so what the heck is this indie game going to look like? I have to know. As for Xbox's other first-party studios, Ninja Theory is hard at work on Hellblade 2, and Undead Labs is working on State of Decay 3. The big one for me is that Perfect Dark reboot at the Initiative, as well as a Fable reboot over at Playground Games. And Obsidian is also working on its next big RPG, Avowed. What do you hope to see from Xbox in June? Hold your own showcase in the comments and share your thoughts below. Moving on, Sony has seemingly disabled the ability to redeem PlayStation Plus codes from third-party retailers or via the PlayStation Store. Some users have tried to extend or stack their PlayStation Plus membership after news broke that those with simultaneous PS Plus and PS Now subscriptions will be upgraded to PS Plus Premium in June, with the length of the new subscription being equal to their longest current memberships. But after purchasing a PS Plus code, users reported the codes being rejected after an attempted redemption. This is now a widespread issue, with some evidence that Sony support will also not accept the codes. IGN was contacted by a user who reported being told, quote, "On this case right now you will be unable to add those codes to the account since we have disabled the option to redeem PS Plus codes." It is now believed by some in the PlayStation community that Sony has blocked this to prevent users from further taking advantage of making any savings on their revamped PlayStation Plus service. Sony has offered no official word, but IGN has reached out for comment. Many users had already stacked PS Now memberships, this user included, after it was announced those with a PS Now account would be upgraded to PS Plus Premium at no extra cost. This loophole was also quickly shut down, and PS Now memberships are no longer available to purchase. I don't know, it seems pretty shady to block people from redeeming codes they bought completely legitimately. The run-up to this all-new PlayStation Plus has been a little rough. But before we get to the all-new PlayStation Plus, there's still the same old PlayStation Plus, and the games for May have been revealed. Subscribers can look forward to FIFA 22, Tribes of Midgard, and Curse of the Dead Gods. FIFA and Tribes are for both PS4 and 5, while Curse is just for PS4. That's the Curse! All three games will be available on Tuesday, May 3rd. FIFA 22 is the latest entry in EA's soccer/football series, which is now almost officially the best football game on the market, thanks to the pretty disastrous launch of Konami's eFootball 2022. Tribes of Midgard is a co-op survival game based on Norse mythology, but Curse of the Dead Gods is the one that really interests me. It's a roguelike action game where you traverse procedurally generated dungeons from an isometric perspective. Sounds like a Damie game. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10.
It's time to take a quick break. When we come back, Netflix just dropped a teaser for a new Sonic animated show, and the Batman is already behind Doctor Strange at the box office. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Kevin Feige has announced that the next phase of the MCU is now under development, which will span 10 whole years. But before that, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has already beat the Batman at the box office with its pre-sale tickets. Let's step through the interdimensional portal and find out some more.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is currently outselling the Batman in pre-sale tickets. Now, this comes to us from Fandango, reporting the sequel is surpassing The Dark Knight at the same point in the sales cycle, putting the Marvel movie on pace to become the most pre-sold film of 2022 so far. Now, according to Fandango, Strange 2 is strangely selling 5 times as many tickets as the first Strange, culminating in a strangely satisfying win for Marvel. Now, The Batman was quite the win for Warner Brothers and DC this year, unsurprisingly dominating the box office in ticket sales for many weeks. Now, with Doctor Strange 2 set for release this week, it looks like Marvel and Disney are about to topple records at the box office. And with these reported pre-sale numbers, we'll have to wait and see how maddening those numbers will be when the Multiverse of Madness arrives Friday. While Marvel is on pace to take home a dub this week, WB caught a couple of L's with the cancellation of the CW's Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman. Now, according to the showrunners of each show, neither have been renewed to move forward, with Legends of Tomorrow being canceled after 7 seasons and Batwoman after 3. Now, honestly, it's no surprise to me personally, as I don't know a single person, including myself, that watched either of those 2 shows. But the CW is still cooking up must-see TV with the upcoming live-action Powerpuff Girls show and Gotham Knights series. And a piece of my soul just left my body while saying that. Yeah. Kevin Feige and Marvel are set to begin working on the next phases of the MCU. Now, Feige revealed the news during Disney's CinemaCon 2022 presentation, stating that he and Marvel leadership are headed to their first retreat in 3 years to begin plotting out the next decade of the MCU. Now, with new heroes in play like Natalie Portman's mighty Thor, Moon Knight, and many others, it's hard to say what could be next for the powerhouse that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And with an entire multiverse to hop through, everything within Marvel's long history in cinema and print seems to be on the table and prime for Feige and company to toy around with on both the big and small screen. But, speaking from a fan's perspective, while there seems to be so much more gas left in the tank and endless possibilities within the MCU, ever since Endgame put a cap on the Infinity Saga, it just seems as though there's no real direction currently for Marvel properties on screen. Now, everything that's been released post-Endgame, save for No Way Home, has personally felt underwhelming and didn't really spark that internal hype I want to have when watching a superhero movie. Like, I'm far from feeling, that superhero fatigue. I'm more so just feeling a lack of direction within the overall universe being created and continued post-Endgame. But that's okay. We got some good storytelling during the 20-something films the Infinity Saga consisted of, and now we're in a somewhat nebulous epilogue with the remaining Avengers. But with Kevin Feige and the rest of the higher-ups at Marvel set to start laying out the foundation for the next decade, hopefully, we'll see a return to form and direction within the MCU. More news from CinemaCon 2022. We got our first look at the upcoming Borderlands movie, and by we, I mean all those in attendance at CinemaCon. Now, according to those in attendance, the footage of the colorful Eli Roth-directed film kicks off with Cate Blanchett's character kicking ass in a vibrant cityscape, Kevin Hart's character making a brief appearance, and ending with Jack Black's claptrap getting unexpectedly shot. Now, not much else is known about the film other than it'll supposedly contain insane action and be rated T for teen, and tiny for Kevin Hart. He's a very small man. I made that last part up. I mean, he is actually small, but the movie isn't rated T for teen. It's a movie, so it's not gonna be rated T for teen. Come on now. It's based on a game, but it's a movie. Anyways, no release date just yet, but it's reportedly due to release sometime this year. So get excited. And finally, Sonic did it, y'all. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has become the highest grossing video game movie ever in the US. Now, pointed out by the Blue Blur's voice actor Ben Schwartz, the sequel ran laps around the first film, which was actually the previous record holder, believe it or not. Yeah, sitting at $147 million, Sonic 2 outperformed the first movie by just $1 million and counting. Shout out to the little guy, and we'll see if Mario and friends butt stomp the record when his movie lands next year. Sonic is speeding his way to Netflix along with a series of other animated shows. Now, in the small teaser for Sonic Prime, we see the Blue Blur catching a few rings and saying this.
I know what you're thinking. I'm good and powerful, apparently. Jealous?
Along with this new series, Netflix announced other animated shows. Kung Fu Panda, The Dragon Knight, We Lost Our Human, and many more revealed in the company's Netflix after-school preview trailer. Now, you can go to Netflix's media website for the full listing. In other news, our dearly beloved Doctor might be taking a break from acting. Benedict Cumberbatch mentioned in an interview with us how busy he's been juggling parenthood and acting, and when asked what variant of himself he'd like to be, he said, quote, I guess one that's less busy, maybe. I might be that variant very soon, which is nice. Taking a bit of a break. Now, of course, he could have just been saying something to fill conversation, so don't think of this as an official announcement of Cumberbatch taking a slumber batch on acting anytime soon. Slumber batch? Who writes this nonsense? Oh, it's me? Oh, okay, never mind.
The Embracer Group has been quite busy in the past 2 years acquiring companies like 3D Realms, Slipgate Ironworks, Gearbox, Dark Horse Comics, THQ Nordic, and Perfect World Entertainment. Now Embracer is adding Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, and Square Enix Montreal to the list, along with a catalog of iconic IPs, all for the low price of $300 million. The 3 acquired studios are made up of around 1,100 employees spread across 8 locations worldwide. As for the games, the acquisition includes the rights to iconic franchises like Deus Ex, Thief, and Legacy of Kain, and it includes games currently in development like the new Tomb Raider game on Unreal Engine 5 announced by Crystal Dynamics. Eidos Montreal is best known for the rebooted Deus Ex games Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, as well as last year's Guardians of the Galaxy game. Square Enix Montreal was behind Lara Croft Go and Deus Ex Go and will presumably continue working with AAA IPs in a mobile space. Square Enix shared news on the reasoning behind the sale, stating it would allow the company to invest more in blockchain, AI, and the cloud. Square Enix isn't completely offloading its Western studios though, it's still got teams behind Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange. As for Square Enix's Japanese development, it seems like business as usual. Don't worry, Sora is okay. He's okay. $300 million seems like a steal. The Tomb Raider games alone have sold 88 million units in the series' lifetime, and that's not accounting for the hundreds of millions the movies have raked in at the box office. Speaking of acquisitions, PlayStation is currently hiring for an acquisition manager to help manage and expand its collection of first-party studios. Last week, we reported on a similar job posting by Microsoft, so it seems like Sony is following suit. As reported by Video Games Chronicle, Sony is after a manager of gaming and strategy development to lead Sony's corporate development team to identify inorganic growth opportunities through acquisition, investments, and joint ventures. In other words, they're looking to grow. The acquisition race between Microsoft and Sony looks like a frantic game of Pong as both push to expand their first-party studio range, dumping billions of dollars to make it happen. Earlier this year, Microsoft scooped up Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, and a few weeks later, Sony clapped back by hooking up with Microsoft's X, acquiring Bungie, acquiring the former Xbox first-party studio for $3.6 billion. Again, this is billions with a B, which makes that whole 300 million Embracer Group deal seem like pretty small potatoes by comparison. And lastly, on a more heartwarming topic, a modder has turned a toy controller for babies into a fully functioning PC gamepad and even played some Elden Ring to prove it. Inspired by an offhand joke tweeted by Wario64 in April, Twitter user Rudeism shared footage of the Fisher-Price Laugh and Learn game and Learn controller toy actually functioning as a real controller. And to be clear, this is a baby toy designed to teach 6 to 36 months old how to count and identify colors. Rudeism went into detail on how he modded the controller, leaving the toy's original sounds intact.
We've got roll. We've got usabilities. We've got D-pad, so if you check on the bottom left of the screen, you'll see me switching through things.
Though if you talk to most parents whose kids have one of those toys, they'd probably prefer a mod to make it shut the hell up. One of the biggest challenges Rudeism faced was the controller lacking a right analog stick. He found a workaround by using the controller mode switch. Now instead of switching toys' sounds effects between counting and songs, it switches the functionality of the face buttons. Obviously this means it doesn't handle like a normal controller, but hey, this isn't really a normal use for this thing, so it works out. Now the real challenge is, who's got what it takes to do a Fisher-Price Laugh and Learn Level 1 no-hit Elden Ring speedrun? Come on, don't be a baby. Call of Duty publisher Activision Blizzard is blaming the poor results of its most recent games to, get this, World War II. And we're not talking about the 2017 Call of Duty game, we're talking about the historic events of World War II. Call of Duty is the company's most successful franchise, and the recent earnings have shown the sales of last year's release, Vanguard, missed the shareholders' mark by about $300 million. And this lackluster reception is being blamed on its setting. The campaign takes place in Europe at the end of World War II, around 1945, with flashbacks revisiting famous battles. During its annual investors report, the company stated the game's World War II setting didn't resonate with some of our own community, and we didn't deliver as much innovation in the premium game as we would have liked. The setting and lack of innovation might have affected sales, but there were numerous other factors beyond the game itself. There was the global pandemic that affected everything from the game's development to console shortages to how much disposable income consumers had to spend on games. There was the massive public backlash against Activision Blizzard following sexual harassment allegations, and there's also the fact that a lot of COD players are perfectly happy with Warzone, which is free to play, and everyone likes free. But before you start taking up a fundraiser to bail out those Activision executives, keep in mind Call of Duty Vanguard was still the #1 best-selling game of 2021. Sales were just down 36% from 2020's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, but everyone likes Black Ops. But hey, if you're looking for innovation, buckle up because this year's entry will be Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Again. Moving on, Blizzard announced today its long-rumored fast-paced Warcraft-themed mobile game coming to iOS and Android phones. Warcraft Arc Like Rumble takes place in Azeroth, with players building up armies of their favorite heroes and villains from the World of Warcraft universe to battle it out in strategic and tactical-based combat. Collect miniatures of famous World of Warcraft characters to build forces and overcome frantic melee skirmishes. Offering over 70 single-player campaign missions, co-op mode, and even a competitive PvP mode, the developers describe Arc-like as a tower offense game. So it sounds kinda like World of Warcraft flavored Clash Royale. There is no official release date, but fans can pre-register on the official website.
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your Weekly Fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news of the week. See you then.